Hey everyone, and welcome back to FSi DFS. I am McKinley412. Today we're going to be looking at this. I guess it's a main slate, early slate on DraftKings, starting at noon Eastern time. So you West Coasters, it's going to be a bright and early start for you guys. Daytime baseball. I love these early slates. They're absolutely my favorite. We did very well on Wednesday. I was really high on San Diego. I was apparently higher than most of the industry, which actually was great because they put up double digits. And things went great. We had Cover Boy, Alfaro hit a home run. All things just turned out so well. So hopefully we can do the same for you guys again on Thursday with this main slate. 6-game slate, no weather that we have to be paying attention to. So let's just kind of dive right in. Pitching on this slate is pretty ugly, all things considered, if we're being honest. So you got a couple of star guys up at the top with Kershaw, with Kyle Wright. Green, I think he's just way too expensive at 9.6K, also going up against the Dodgers. That's just going to be a tough matchup. He does strike out a lot of guys, as we know. I think he's only had one start where he did not record 6 or more strikeouts. So like the Ks are there, but he's getting hit pretty hard too as well. So we'll kind of go through each of the pitchers. I'll go through my rankings. I got them kind of here, and then we'll talk more about the bats as we go on. So top tier of pitchers, you can see I have ranked Wright, Kershaw, Wood, and Green. Wood and Green kind of, you could be interchangeable with them. Even Wright and Kershaw, you could probably debate between these two guys as well. Kershaw, we know that he is just a wizard when it comes to facing left-handed batters. But Cincinnati, they only have one left-handed bat in their lineup. They could even throw out a lineup out there with 9 right-handed bats. So he does see a little bit of a hurt there. I guess that's not the right word, but knock against him, we'll just put that there. And he really hasn't been the Kershaw that we know. Take off the nameplate on this guy, and you look at his numbers: 4 strikeouts, 2 strikeouts. He's only going 70, 80 pitches in each of his starts. It's tough to pay 10,000 plus for a guy like this. So take the name off of him, and I think that kind of opens up your eyes to be like, maybe he's not the best play. And Cincinnati, yeah, they've struggled, but their offense against left-handed pitching has actually been pretty darn good this season. It probably helps that they have all those right-handed bats in there. So I do give the slight edge to Kyle Wright. He's been pretty consistent so far this season. He's had a rough 2 or 3 starts, as you can kind of see here, but the strikeouts are still there. He's still getting 20 plus DK points routinely. And San Francisco, fine offense for sure. They got a couple lefties that can knock him around, but still, I think Wright over Kershaw. Green, I mentioned, he strikes out a lot of guys, but it's in a tough matchup. And then Alex Wood going up against Atlanta. Atlanta mashes left-handed pitching Chicago White Sox, as you all know. I mentioned it, I think, every single video. But Atlanta is pretty much number 2 in every single other category. So I do think that Wood can get hit pretty hard here. If you put him over Green, which I kind of did, I mean, totally fine with that. If you want Green over him, whatever. But still, I think Green's priced way too much. In that mid tier, I put yikes here because it is a big yikes with Hudson, Steele, and Quintana. Hudson, at 8.3K. It's tough to get excited about that. We've seen his salary just creep up higher and higher and higher. It's going up against Milwaukee. Milwaukee's got quite a few nice left-handed bats to go up against him with like the split platoon. And like his strikeouts just are not there. Like, look at this: 3 strikeouts, 2 strikeouts, 3, 2, 2. Like, how do you want to pay over 8,000 for a guy who's going to give you on average 2 to 3 strikeouts a game? It's really tough to get excited about that. He lets up a couple of earned runs, and next thing you know, he's a terrible point per dollar play. Can he have a good game? Absolutely. He's shown that he can do it so far in this season, which is kind of why I have him rated up higher than Quintana and Steele. But it's still kind of tough to really get excited about it. Quintana, he started off great, but the underlying numbers were ugly on him, kind of even through this beginning part of the season. So reality is finally setting in for him, finally catching back up to him. He's just not a great pitcher. He really does struggle, especially in these last 2 starts. You can see how many home runs and earned runs, even just dating back to Detroit, how many runs he's allowing. Now he's got Chicago They got some nice bats in Chicago against left-handed pitching. And then Steele, I have him above Quintana, just because. Cheap plays, Freeland. I actually kind of really, I don't want to say really like Freeland. But I think among like the cheap guys, he is probably one of my favorite plays, point per dollar wise and everything. He gets out of Coors Field. You can kind of see he's got some major splits. All obviously outside of Coors, he's got an ERA around 3. Averages 14 DK points at just 6.8K. And he gets Miami, a Miami team that strikes out at a near 30% strikeout rate as a team. Second place, I think, is at like 26%. They are just far and away above and beyond a heavy strikeout team against left-handed pitching. So Freeland, he's not a super heavy strikeout guy. I'll just admit that right now. But if he can get you up to like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 strikeouts in this game against Miami, limit some of the damage outside of Coors, he's probably one of my favorite cheap plays on this slate. Alexander, he's not getting you any strikeouts at all. I have him over here in the fade column with Garrett. Garrett going up against Colorado. Don't care too much about him there. And then Plesac and Smeltzer, just kind of rounding things out. Don't really care about them. I would just go Freeland if I'm going down here. So really, I just kind of be paying attention to Wright, Kershaw, maybe Hudson if you go there, maybe. But then Freeland would kind of be there. It's ugly. It's ugly. So let's turn towards the bets. On the Colorado side of things, well, actually, how should we do this? Let's go game by game, and then we'll talk about that there. So on the Colorado side of things, if you're going to be playing them, it's going to be Cron, it's going to be Rogers, Daza. If Hampson's in, he could be a nice cheap play at 2.5K as well. These are probably your top 4 guys numbers-wise against left-handed pitching. I don't know how deep Garrett's going to go into the game. He might only get 4 or 5 innings. He might not even go that far. But still, if you're going to go with the Colorado route, that's probably where I would be heading. Miami, you're going to be looking at Soler, and you're going to be looking at Berti. I would probably be starting with those 2 guys. Jazz, totally fine. No issues there. But I'm just looking directly at the numbers. It's these 3 guys. So not too much interest in Miami when I'm probably going to be a little bit higher on Freeland, maybe even than most. San Francisco, they got a tough game going up against Wright, but they do have a lot of lefties that could do some serious damage. Belt obviously is in there. Jock Peterson for sure. Yaz, he's back. 3.7K. Nice value on him. Scrolling on down. Luis Gonzalez, if he is in there at 2.8K, I think that's another fantastic value. So if you're looking for like maybe one-offs, cheap guys in the outfield, maybe you go with one of these guys. We kind of saw that Wright has been struggling a little bit recently, so maybe they can get to him there. On the Atlanta side of things, I mentioned how much they just destroy left-handed pitching. They're like the second best team against left-handed pitching so far on the season. So if you are going to go with Atlanta, Acuna obviously is going to be at the top of your list there. But got only the outfield there. Acuna is going to be top of your list for sure. Riley, absolutely in there. Darno, he ranks pretty high. Not super thrilled about paying up for catcher all the time. But him and another guy that I'll be talking about later on, paying up for catcher could be definitely a thing that we're going to be doing on Thursday. But Riley, Acuna, Darno, Duvall for sure. Harris at 3K. This guy continues to put up numbers. It's fantastic watching him. Exciting player to watch for sure. So Atlanta, bit pricey. I have them as my number 1 stack on the entire slate. It can be pretty tough to get them in, but if you include guys like Harris or guys like Duvall, we're just around right at 3K. You can easily pretty much put anybody in, especially if you go cheap with Freeland at pitcher. Move on to the next game. Dodgers going up against Green. The Dodgers are just too expensive, I think. And if Green has one of his like heavy strikeout games, you can really strand runners on base if you can strike them out. Obviously, a ground out or a fly out, you can still advance the runners, every now and then. But strikeouts, you can't really do that. So I do have Dodgers graded below Atlanta at this point because of that and because of the tough matchup. But I do think they might make for a great GPP play because the Dodgers don't strike out too often as a team. So if they can limit that, the strikeout rate against Green, take away like his one thing, they can easily get to him. And then you got the Cincinnati bullpen behind him. So if you're looking for the Dodgers, it's going to be your obvious guys. It's going to be Freeman. It's going to be Bellinger. Max Muncy, he had a really rough start to the season, kind of coming back around. But yeah, it's the Dodgers. You guys kind of know by now who to stack. And then on the Cincinnati side of things, Kershaw could be popular. I have them over as a leverage stack. I just want to get a better gauge of ownerships. I recorded these the night before. Don't have too good of a gauge right now. But Cincinnati, I think in just a 6-game slate, this could be a really intriguing team to stack. They have some guys with some fantastic numbers against left-handed pitching. Obviously, it's still Kershaw. But again, Kershaw has not been the Kershaw that we know of. So Farmer, Pham, Drury, and Reynolds. These are kind of the guys that I would be looking at. If I'm doing a Cincinnati stack, I would be starting with these 4 guys and moving on from there. So Reynolds, super cheap, but these 4 guys, grade out the best in terms of numbers for the Cincinnati stack. Chicago, Pittsburgh, I think this game's going to see a lot of runs in it. I mentioned paying up for catcher. Wilson Contreras at 5,000. I had to double, triple, quadruple check this guy's stats against left-handed pitching. He is over a 500 ISO. He's got a limited sample size against left-handed pitching. Obviously, they see less lefties than righties, but he's got an over 500 ISO. It is just insane. I really could not believe the numbers when I was seeing them. So at home or on the road in Pittsburgh at PNC Park, certainly in play. I would be starting off my Chicago stacks with Contreras for sure. Wisdom, he's got great numbers. Hap's got great numbers. I'm always been a fan of Morel here, Christopher Morel for Chicago. A lot of intriguing plays there, and they're pretty cheap. You can see I just named 3 guys who are in the mid 3K range. And then Quintana, he's been really struggling as of late. So Chicago can easily get to him. On the Pittsburgh side of things, it's your usual guys. One guy, O'Neal Cruz, we know what this guy is able to do. This is probably one of the most exciting players in baseball right now. Just a big shortstop. Can't remember exactly how tall he was, but just a big dude, fun guy. I'm really excited to watch him play baseball for probably the next decade or more. So we got Cruz, Castillo's in there, Reynolds, Hayes. It's your usual guys for Pittsburgh. They could probably get the steal. Cleveland, Minnesota, I could see this being another game that sees quite a bit of runs. Cleveland's going up against Smeltzer. Smeltzer has really struggled as of late. He did fairly well to start off the season, but his underlying numbers were really rough. It kind of exactly like Quintana. And just like Quintana, it's catching up to him. So he's really been struggling lately. He's allowed a lot of home runs in the past couple of games. So I do definitely think that Cleveland can get there. You're going to be starting off a Cleveland stack with Jose Ramirez, no questions asked. Then I would probably go with Oscar Gonzalez. So as you can see, there are a lot of players that I'm mentioning that are in this mid 3K range. There's lots of value on this slate. One thing you kind of might also notice is I'm not talking too much about any first baseman, second baseman, kind of really. It's just kind of ugly in there, in my opinion. So, but going back to Cleveland, I'd be starting off with Jose Ramirez. I'd be going with Oscar Gonzalez. Maybe Straw leads off at 3.2K. And then Jimenez and Rosario, totally fine with either of those guys there. Minnesota, they're probably my lowest ranked. I have them lowest ranked on the GPP. They're just so expensive. They're almost to the Atlanta, LA Dodgers range. Buxton at 6.2, Arias at 5.2, Correa 5,000. So they're just super expensive. It's tough to fit them in. Going up against righty, I mean, great. Just because with Arias and with Kepler, they have a lot of those big lefty bats with some power. Even Buxton's got great numbers, but he's got great numbers against everybody. I just think Minnesota is just too expensive to really fit a nice lineup altogether. St. Louis going up against Alexander, going up against the Milwaukee bullpen, which is pretty darn good. But still, I think, St. Louis can do some damage here. I don't have them as the best graded team. I kind of put them 4th here below Atlanta, Cleveland, and the Cubs going up against Quintana. But St. Louis, Donovan, I'm falling in love with this guy. I'm falling in love with the St. Louis, young rookie guys, which I never thought I'd say. I wore a Chicago Cubs shirt, actually, today. So can't believe I'm saying this. But yeah, Donovan, I'd be kind of starting there. Goldschmidt for sure. You just put Donovan outside of first base. Goldschmidt, Donovan, who's the other guy? Gorman for sure, 3.6K. They got a lot of cheap guys that you could be going with as well. So don't mind them. On the Milwaukee side of things, I don't get too excited. I'm not excited about Hudson, but I'm also not excited about the Milwaukee bats here. Hira, Tellez, Yelich, Renfroe. Those are your kind of year 4 guys there. So it's pretty ugly. So here's kind of like the recap of everything that I just mentioned. Pitcher side, I still think right above Kershaw. Take away Kershaw's name and look at his numbers, and he wouldn't want to be paying over 10K for a guy like that. Wood and Green, interchangeable. Green's got the strikeouts. Wood's got a very tough matchup against Atlanta. Mid-tier, I think is just real ugly. Hudson grades out the best of all of them. Freeland, I think is my favorite cheap play. If you guys want to put him in, maybe like a Wright and Freeland combination, you could do that and then put in like Atlanta and a Cleveland stack. Totally possible. Totally possible. Fade these guys. And then for stacks, Atlanta, Cleveland, Chicago, St. Louis, kind of went over those and why. Dodgers, put San Francisco Giants here just because they have so many lefties and just because Wright has been allowing quite a few earned runs, home runs as of late. Like I said, they have Belt, they have Yastrzemski, Luis Gonzalez if he's in. They have all those kind of guys, Jock Peterson, who can do some damage. Colorado, they got great numbers against left-handed pitching. So Smeltzer down here, Garrett down here, but I don't know how long Garrett's going to be going into the game. So who knows? Minnesota's too pricey. Pittsburgh, I think they're a fantastic team going up against, well, not a fantastic team. They're an exciting team for sure. But going up against Steele, they can certainly do some damage. Milwaukee, Miami to round things out. And then Cincinnati, I think is a very intriguing GPP play. So that kind of covers everything. There's no night slate, which is kind of odd, just 3-game slate. So we won't have a video out for that. But we will have a video out on Friday, so please come back, check that out. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. We do try to answer all questions on this YouTube channel. If there's any updates or anything that we do want to change, we will kind of post those down into the chat as well. So please stop back, see if anything's changed, and come join us at FSi. We'd love to have you. Links, everything down in the description below. Thanks for watching. Good luck in your contests, and we will see you in the next video.